What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So thanks to Conor McGregor and his predatory sexual nature. Damn, bro. Get an exhaust, why don't you? I have been brought out of retirement from YouTube. I retired from YouTube, retired from making content before I even got to 2,000 subs. I got to about 1.5K and I was like, I just don't have time for this, man. Working full time, got a family, yada yada yada. I'm just gonna hang up the content, the content gloves, for the UFC pun, and thanks to Conor McGregor, I just have to get on here and say a couple of things. All right. First thing I want to say is I'm looking at a lot of people online. And everybody's, Dee Devlin, she should be ashamed of herself. He should be ashamed of how he's treating her, this and that and the third. I just want to say there is absolutely and obviously a very clear, open relationship there, right? At least on his part, all right? Now, I'm pretty sure that it's probably not an understanding that Dee Devlin is stepping out on the marriage and is getting her, rocks knocked off by everybody else and all kinds of guys and stuff. I'm sure that's not happening. But oftentimes there's a major sort of power dynamic in relationships like this. And in this case, it does seem to be that the power dynamic obviously is swinging in the favor of Conor McGregor. No pun intended on the swinging pun, with the recent dick out pic of Conor McGregor apparently spamming the DMs of an American rapper called Azalea Banks. Okay? Now, I just want to say right out of the gate, I saw MMA Joey. A lot of other people were talking about the fact that, this is a sexual assault, this and that and the third. There should be some sort of jail, offense of this, for this. I just want to say this. For one thing, I did see online where she herself said that her and Conor had been, spamming back and forth nude pics with one another since 2016. This is her saying this, okay? So, may have been unsolicited. This particular picture may have been unsolicited that day, but it does sound as though this is not the first time that there have been nude photos sent between the two of them, okay? So I just want to say that. But with that said, I know a sexual predator when I see one. And listen, I'm going to tell you something. I really have not talked about a lot on this channel. As a pretty good looking guy who grew up, was exposed to pornography literally by the time I was 7 or 8 years old. I had seen my first pornographic magazine. Okay? I'm not proud of this, by the way. This is not me bragging. But then also, as a guy who, when I got out of high school, I was in a singing group, did a lot of performing out places, stuff like that. Good looking guy, singer, performer, entertainer. I did my share of taking sexual advantage of women in my life, okay? I'm not proud of this, okay? But because of that, I'm able to recognize this trait in people, okay? And there is no doubt in my mind that Conor McGregor is, in fact, a sexual predator. So, whether I agree with MMA Joey saying that, he should do jail time for this, I don't know about that. I'm not going to say he should do jail time, but let me just say that sexual predator, yes, absolutely. And not only that, more recently, he was also seen on the beach with some, Latina-looking woman who, let me just say, if I'm Conor McGregor and I'm a billionaire, and I'm going to be stepping out of my marriage, I'm going straight 10, bro. I'm going 11 with the chicks that I'm messing around with, right? Conor McGregor seems like the kind of guy that this is so ingrained in him as a person that he just wants to grab a different handful of ass every day, that he doesn't even really care if this is a 10 or if this is an 11 or if it's a 4. He's just trying to fuck every day, different girl, different, he's got to feel something different every day. This seems like, and that also is a trademark sign of a person who is a sexual predator. I come from a background, guys, of the whole voyeurism thing. Looking at chicks. I'm not proud of this. I have videoed myself and another woman without her knowing in compromising sexual sort of position. Not proud of this, by the way, okay? But I know it when I see it. And I just want to say, I've gone to therapy, guys. I'm a different man now. Almost 50 years old. I'm healed, okay? I don't do this anymore. But I know it when I see it. For God's sakes, I know it when I see it. All right? So, but here's what I do want to say about Conor and his situation, okay? While I don't think he should do jail time, and while I do think that there is kind of an open stance in the relationship between Dee Devlin and Conor McGregor, I do also, as a father and as a husband, which I know he and Dee Devlin are not married, but they share 4 children together, okay? And children, I don't care what anybody says, children are innocent, okay? And these children don't deserve to get picked on at school or in public because their father is on a 3-day cocaine bender and is up at 5 in the morning spamming dick pics to random people that he's never met before. The kids don't deserve that, okay? And listen, don't get me wrong, Dee Devlin doesn't deserve it either, but at the least, Dee Devlin is an adult. And Dee Devlin, if she's not respecting herself in this situation, then it's kind of hard for us as third-party individuals to sit on the side and go to bat for her. Well, you should respect that woman. She's not respecting herself. And, it's kind of like women who participate in pornography. Yeah, it's wrong. It's objectifying women. It's degrading, but they're taking part in their own degradation. So you can't just blame the men who are taking part in the pornographic scene. You can't just blame the people who are paying to watch the pornography. You have to also blame the women because the women are right there taking part in their own degradation. Dee Devlin is taking part in her own degradation. Okay? Now, with that said, she keeps going online and making posts that make it very clear that everybody else just needs to shut the hell up. We know what's going on over here. I know what's going on. She hasn't come out and said this, but you can tell by the nonchalant nature of her posts, her recent posts and response is to these things, to Conor being seen with other women, to him spamming the dick pic to the American rapper. You can tell that she just wants everybody else to stay the fuck up out of their business, and she wants everybody to understand that they've got this. There is an agreement between her and Conor, right? And if that agreement is he's going to be the billionaire, he's going to allow her to maintain this rich and famous lifestyle, and it's obvious that she's willing to degrade herself for that. She's willing to disrespect herself for that. She's willing to say, I'm not worth having a man who is not going to run around on me, who is not going to get up on a 3-day cocaine bender at 5 in the morning and be in the changing room spamming dick pics to women he's never met. I'm not worth having a man who's not, landing on some beach every other day and, kissing on the lips and fucking some random mamacita that he met. She's not worth that. To her, the money, the lifestyle, the acknowledgement of being with a worldwide, world-famous former MMA star with a name like Conor McGregor is more important to her than having a man who is going to respect her, respect their supposedly monogamous relationship. And yes, it is supposedly monogamous, and I want to say that because people are getting online, bro, why are they have an open relationship, who gives a fuck, blah blah blah. Okay, when Conor was found liable for the civil sexual assault this past year, he put out an open response to that, saying that he regrets stepping out on the woman that he loved the most. He regretted stepping out on Dee Devlin, right? So if that's a fact, and this is really the way he feels, then he can't now flip the coin over and say, well, we have an open relationship, I do what the fuck I want to. Well, which is it? Do you feel bad about disrespecting the mother of your kids and the woman that is supposedly your ride or die, and that you've been in a supposed committed relationship for the last however many years? Or do you have an open relationship where you can spam dick pics on a cocaine bender at 5 in the morning and show up on a Florida beach with some mamacita grabbing ass in public in front of everybody? Which is it? Which is it, Conor? Conor's about lost his shit. I know I've gone through a lot of shit in the past few minutes, but I just want to say, this is one of those things where you're seeing the unraveling and the steady downfall and decline of a guy who not only has seen too much porn, not only has had too much pussy thrown at him, but he also has a lot of money, a lot of yes men around him. He has nobody who really cares enough to keep him in check, because Conor is everyone's meal ticket. Everyone that is around him is looking at Conor as their meal ticket. So there's nobody willing to step up and say, hey bro, I'm worried about you a little bit, to be honest with you. I'm worried about you a little bit, because no matter how much money you have, we're seeing that with Diddy right now. No matter how much money you have, no matter how much power you have, or how much control and power you think that all of this fortune and fame and stuff brings you, if you're at a point where you're just randomly spamming dick pics to different people and showing up, cruising throughout the Mediterranean all over the world on your multi-million-dollar yacht, and just fucking and doing whatever you want, karma has a way of finding your ass. Alright? And if it's not for anything else, like I said, Dee Devlin is a grown-up. She's making the choice to remain in that relationship, and she's making the choice to continuously get disrespected in her relationship, right? Fine. That's fine. That's fine. She's an adult. He's an adult, right? But you have 4 innocent children there that they're not asking to be put in that situation, right? And they're not asking to become 11 years old, then 13 years old, then 15 years old, then 16 years old, and their little friends at school still, printing out a picture of their dad's dick pic with a weight hanging from it back in the day and sticking it in their locker and having them open their locker, and then people the kids aren't asking for that, bro. The kids don't want that. And that is the telltale sign of someone who has gone too far down the rabbit hole on drugs, who is a complete narcissist, who has way entirely too much money and is only thinking about themselves and fulfilling his own selfish sexual desire and needs, to the point that he is willing to do that to the people in the world that he should love the most and that he should be looking to protect the most: his own children. His own children. And you can say whatever you want about his open relationship, they don't care. Obviously she doesn't care that much, right? But to be fair, he did put it out there last year that he regrets doing what he did, you know, stepping out on his wife. Now, one of the two is not true. Either he really doesn't regret stepping out on his wife, or they just have an open relationship and he really doesn't feel bad about it. He was just saying what he needed to say to the media and to the public at that time to get people off of his back. One of the two, right? But no matter what he and Dee Devlin have decided, one thing you can't deny, that's fucked up to do your kids like that, bro. That's fucked up to do your kids like that, because your kids are now gonna have their father's dick floating around on the internet. It's out there, bro. Once it's out there in the ethosphere and somebody's grabbed it and somebody screenshotted it, there ain't no going back and deleting that shit. It's there now. And the thing about it is, he probably doesn't even care. You know, I mean, how many people have gotten just more famous? And I mean, they call them the notorious for a reason. How many people, this equates to money for him, and he probably doesn't even care, you know, how it affects his kids in the future. Man, I think that's fucked up. I think that's fucked up. Anyway, I'm going to stop jabbing about it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you would, like it. And, yeah, I'll see you on the next one. All right.